Hello, hello, and welcome to the September 20th version of Free Wizard School, where we have a special guest, Meg Beeler, who is going to teach us how to manage our energy. And I can't even begin to tell you how lucky I feel to have Meg on with us, because she is a shaman with an amazing pedigree. And this is, as you know, we occasionally do webinars with special guests, and only special guests who really are amazing individuals up to amazing work in the world. And Meg has a community of people. So let me just tell you a little bit about Meg. I have an experience of her as being deeply connected to the divine, and deeply connected in a way that that few people in this world are. She weaves a special form of healing called energy alchemy and shamanic meditation to guide seekers into joyful connection, soul healing, and luminous presence. And she has authored a book called Living in the Heart of the Universe: Expanding Your Relationship with Earth and the Cosmos. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Like, it's not enough just to have a connection with the Earth, and it's not enough to have just a connection with the cosmos. She tells us why in this book that it's important to have a relationship with both. She is a lifelong explorer of wholeness and consciousness. She's traveled the world in search of traditional and shamanic wisdom. And she's been all the way from the high mountains of the Andes and the Himalayas, rather, the savannas of Africa, and the jungles of the Amazon. She is well-traveled, this shaman. In each place, she has discovered and put into practice the joy, the connection, the power that she shares through her work. Meg translates ancient wisdom into potent practices for connecting with the power of nature and the cosmos. Now, her passion is guiding you into your essence, your love, your vision, your sacred power. She wants to guide you into your essence on your path to wholeness and transformation. All of that. She's the founder of Earth Caretakers, dedicated to bringing to life our collective dream of a more beautiful world. And she teaches and lives on the top of Sonoma Mountain in the San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome, Meg Beeler. I'm so happy that you are here with us.
Thank you, Sage. I'm so happy to be here with you. We always have a good time together, and I'm looking forward to moving things around a little bit with you, with our listeners. So the work that I do is experiential. So what I'd like to start with is creating sacred space, which is something we always do in shamanic work, calling the four directions and the elements and our helpers. But in this case, I'm going to guide you listeners with a practice that I do really every day as a way of moving and shifting my energy. And the practice involves blowing out anything I don't need to each of the elements and drawing in the qualities of the element. For example, fresh air, or fluid water, or nurturing earth, those kinds of things. So you can visualize whatever you like about these elements. And you won't entirely be able to see me because I'm going to stand up and actually face the directions. We'll start in the east. That's the direction where the sun comes up.
Okay, and I'm going to do this with you, okay, Meg? I'm facing the east right now.
Okay. So the east where the sun rises is, in my tradition, the direction of air. So as I rattle, I just invite you all, and it's nice to stand up actually, you've probably been sitting all day. I invite you to breathe anything you don't need right now, your lists, your worry, the hard day at work, kid screaming, whatever it is, breathe it into the air and draw in through your throat wonderful fresh air, fierce winds, whatever arises for you. So just breathe strongly in and out. Now I want you to turn and face the south. And in the south, we work with the sun. I'll stop rattling a minute. We work with the sun and blow any heaviness or density from our bodies into the sun or into fire from our hearts and draw in the transformative power of the sun. So blow in and out through your heart, blow into the sun, draw in the fire into your body. Now I invite you to turn and face the west, the direction on the west coast of the ocean and the setting sun. And in the west, we're going to work with water. So imagine your tailbone and a little channel going from your tailbone down into the aquifer or into a creek or river or the ocean, some specific body of water. And breathe out any density into the water. It's just a gift for the water. It's just energy. And draw in the qualities of water, filling your body, filling your cells. Again, breathing out through your tail into the water and breathing the water up into your body. Now we're going to turn and face the north, and if you've got any kind of residual worry or frustration or anxiety or fatigue from the day, just let it all go out just below your belly button. Imagine a tube again going right into the earth. And give the earth any heavy energy you don't need, you don't want right now. Just gift it to the earth and draw in the nourishing energy of the earth that's bringing all our tomatoes and beans and corn to fruiting right now, so we have a good harvest. So blow out from your belly and draw into your, just below your belly button. Now, as I turn and face the center and greet the ancestors and the descendants, Just quietly listen to your body. See how you feel. See if you are a little lighter. See if you've forgotten to worry for a minute. Just check it out. So thank you, everyone. And I just want to say in shamanic work, we always call the four directions and the ancestors, the descendants. Some people call grandfather sky and grandmother earth. And the reason for that is twofold. We're creating sacred space to work in, so we're protected. And we're inviting all our helpers in. You might have goddesses and gods, you might have angels, you might have plant spirits. Whoever you work with, this is a wonderful way to shift your energy, shift your attention, and be in sacred space. Be really present in just a couple of minutes by doing that. And you don't have to, of course, be rattling and to breathe in and out and release what you don't need. And you don't have to do all the elements. And you can just do one of them, whatever appeals to you. Like I would often, when I was driving from my clients in Silicon Valley to pick up my daughter at daycare, I really needed to shift gears. And so I would often do one of these breathings into the elements. And I would just, then by the time I got to daycare, I was really there, being mom, not being businesswoman.
Mm. Yeah, I just want to say that was amazing. And I forget the power of that. And, you know, when I was in that with you, I was just like, whoa, this is really doing its thing. I felt the energy shift. So, you know, one of the things that that this webinar is about is learning to shift energy or move energy. And that was a great beginning to that because I already felt my energy moving. And I'm wondering, I have some questions for you, and I would love to be able to ask you those questions, and just kind of take this time together. It's always a blessing to be with you, and I love the answers that you have to questions, and I just want to let the people that are watching know that there will be a way for you to work. You know, we'll tell you how to work with Meg more if you want that, because if I don't do it, I always get, you know, I always get requests like, well, how do I work with Meg? What do I do if I want to, you know, connect with her more? We'll tell you that at the end, but we want to actually deliver what we promised in the beginning. So I want to actually start, Meg, asking you a few questions, if that's okay.
That sounds great.
Okay, great. So the first question that I have, and of course this is from my position as a wizard, because wizards and shamans are really similar to each other, because we both have what's called the Shamanic Worldview. And I would like you to explain to our audience what this Shamanic Worldview is, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So in the shamanic worldview, or what you might call indigenous mind, everything is alive. The stones, the mountains, the leaves on the trees, the things that we normally in the West think of as alive, like trees and plants and animals, but also what we in the West perceive as being inanimate, like mountains and rivers and stones. All of those are alive. All of those are perceived as having a consciousness. And part of the shamanic worldview is to be in relationship with all those things. You've probably heard about Native American people talking about all my relations. Well, that's a phrase that in every single indigenous culture refers to the reciprocity that we humans have with all these beings who take care of us, with the earth that feeds us, with the trees that shade us and give us fire in the winter, with the animals that give us food, and so on. So one of the, besides the relationship and reciprocity, which is a little different than our Western view of, I give you something and you give me something back of equal value. It's really different from that. It's more like, I give you something from my heart, and maybe you'll give me something back, and maybe somebody else will give me something back, but it's all flowing. And I'm not worried about, am I going to get what I'm supposed to get? I know that it's flowing, and I'm feeding that flowing in my relationship. So another part of a shamanic worldview is working with intent, which is the same thing wizards do. Intent in terms of, okay, we're going to have a ceremony to release our grief. And so just as an example, so everything that goes into the ceremony is built around that intent. And the intent might include some private time for people and some group time. It might include some releasing and then some filling. You know, different ceremonies have different intentions, but the intent that you have with a ceremony or with your own life to be more joyous or to be open-hearted. And I'll tell you a story. My daughter was having a lot of trouble, and we had gone through years of struggle. So it was really, I was having a hard time. And at some point I got this guidance to just open my heart when she came to visit. And I started really concentrating on that. And it was just amazing what happened. I felt different. She responded differently. And there, we built this kind of ease just because I had this different intent. And of course, you know that the second you set an intent, your whole body, your whole physiology starts responding to that. So a couple of other qualities that I think are really important for the shamanic worldview. One is resonance or alignment, that we come into, find ways to come into alignment, just as you would with a partner or your child, but you come into alignment with the place you live, with the house you're in, with the mountain you're on, with the forces of nature, all those kinds of things. And so it's a conscious part of the relationship. And another thing I want to mention is receptivity. That's a hard one in this culture, because many of us are used to giving and giving and giving, and not paying too much attention to being open to what we receive. So I was telling Sage a funny story. I had a conversation with somebody I was hoping would help me in my business, and a whole lot of very weird things happen, you know, disconnects happen. But in the middle of the conversation, my phone said it was overheated and it died and cut off the conversation. And in a shamanic worldview, that's synchronicity. That's a message. And it's up to me to figure out what's the message. In this case, the message was, these are not the right people for you to work with. And, you know, we figure that out ourselves. It's not like somebody tells us, but that receptivity to the signs and messages is part of what being a shaman is about. Okay, I've talked too long, Sage.
No. I'm really fascinated. I mean, you've given us so much to think about already. But I want to just, you know, I want to ask a question that is just coming up from what you've just said, which is that most people, you know, that I know don't know how to get into that kind of contact that you mentioned about, you know, with the place that they are. And I'm wondering if you have a tip or two for how to do that, like how to be in, you know, how to establish and get into that connection with the with the surroundings and with all the beings that are there.
Well, yeah, you start with one thing. For example, if you want to be in a relationship with trees, you find a particular tree in your yard or in the park or on a hike you take, and you start making a relationship with that tree, just like you would make a relationship with a person. So you might bring it little offerings, you might go and sit by it, you might ask, do you have any messages for me today, tree? You might sit and listen. I actually have a video on this, but there's a way to ask permission, but you put your back to the tree and exchange energy with the tree, and it's a really fun way of making relationship. The energy practice that I taught you in the very beginning of releasing and filling with air and fire and water and earth, that builds a relationship to the elements. And your body is 70% water. The air is the first element you meet when you're born, because your aliveness is indicated when you take your first breath, and air is the last element you see before you die, because when you don't breathe anymore, you're gone. And you go back to the earth. The water in our bodies, I really learned this in the Amazon, because it's so humid. I realized that there wasn't any difference between the water inside and outside. And, coming from California, it's a little harder because it's so dry, but being in a really liquid place, you feel it inside and outside. And the relationship is very deep. Our water on the earth comes from the stars. So the water in our bodies has come from the stars. And so that, thinking about things like that is a way of deepening relationship. So I could go on, but that's a start.
Yeah, great. I love that. And what I realized as you were talking and mentioning these things is that it really helps to not just have earth, water, fire, and air as these abstract concepts, but when I'm breathing, it's this air. And when I'm thinking of the water, it's this water that's underneath me in the aquifer that's underneath me. And when it's earth, it's this earth that my house sits on. And this fire is this sun that's shining in the sky right now, whether it's, actually in the south or not, and it helps,
right.
It just helped me really center in because it's not abstract. Now, I want to ask you an add-on question about the shamanic worldview. And I know what I think about this, but I'm just curious what you think about this. So if mountains and trees and rocks all have life, that they're all living things, then does that mean that bridges and houses and gates and cars are also living things?
The technical parts of the world are a little harder for me, but yes, everything has some aliveness, and so everything, you're in relationship. If you, I know people who manage their computers when they're acting up by shifting the energy around rather than screaming at them or throwing them against the wall like we tend to do with our mechanical failure things. The mechanized things are harder because they're man-made, and they're made of, all the component parts came from our basic elements, but they're sort of once removed from me. But I wanted to say something about energy alchemy is a kind of global thing before we get lost. And that is that over time, I realized the power of energy alchemy for me is it lets me touch the magic and weave the magic of my physical experiences, the hikes I've taken, the smells of a place, the sounds of a place, my spiritual experiences, the visionary experiences or dreams or insights I've had when I visited a sacred place. And so by weaving the physical and the sensory and the spiritual, you can draw it's easier to flow and be fluid with the dimensionality of the elements and the aliveness of things. It's not, I figured this out really because I was a hiker and backpacker, and I loved being in the mountains, and I would carry my stuff around, and that was very fulfilling. My spiritual life was a different thing. And I liked, I've been meditating for half my life at least. And I liked meditating, but they weren't combined. And in energy alchemy, drawing on these ancient traditions, I've managed to combine all that into meditations that, you do where you feed your visualizations with your own experiences. So it becomes very alive.
Wonderful. I love that. And well, I'll ask you more about energy alchemy later as well, but this gives me a perfect kind of segue into the next question, which is, it's about healing, right? So when I'm needing to heal, what really needs to happen inside me is that, some energetic shift, needs to occur, and even the healing for me that I can think of as the most physical, there's always an energetic component to it. And it's not, I know that energy can help and shamanism can help, but I'm curious about how the practices of shamanism that you've talked about and the practices of shamanism that you haven't talked about can contribute to somebody healing themselves.
I think in the most profound way, the more we connect with the living energy around us, with the trees, the plants, the animals, creatures, birds, the more we perceive ourselves as a part of this universe and not separate. It's a very, very challenging problem in Western culture that our individuation has given us great advances in science and inquiry and so on. And it's also cut us off from the living world. And so that's our disconnection from nature is a very big source of pain. We don't always realize it, but healing that is a way. For me, let me stop with a story. When I was a little kid, the family was pretty problematical, and I was a lot happier being out playing with catching pollywogs and hiking in the hills. That was my idea of a good time, and still is. But I was safer in nature, and that's unusual for many people now. But as an adult, what I saw is that my relationship with the place I live and the beings on it and other places I visited give me connections that sustain me no matter what's happening in my life. No matter how bad things are, I can turn to those connections and heal my suffering, really. That's, and another, just talking about self-healing, when you go to a traditional shaman or a modern shaman, either one of the things that might happen is that they remove something that doesn't belong in you. I'm not talking about severe cases. I'm just talking about, some, so it might appear to somebody as a dark blob of energy, or it might appear as something else. But anyway.
I was going to ask you, what is this thing, right? what it could be inside me that doesn't belong to me.
Okay, so different people perceive it in different ways, so it's not going to have a standard what it looks like. But shamans all over the world do removal. Well, with energy alchemy, you can learn to release the heaviness, which can be the result of, a big shadow. It can be the shadow itself. You can learn to start processing that and taking in something else. And when you fill with something else, there isn't room for the heaviness or the, whatever needs to go away. Another piece of shamanic work is to bring things back that belong to you. That's what, when somebody gives you a power animal, that power animal wants to come and help you and be your guide. And so that's a gift that the spirit world sends to us to help us maneuver. When you've had trauma and lost part of your soul to that trauma, bringing those soul parts back and helping you to see what they mean to you and what gifts they bring to you and how to be friends with them. Same thing as, you know, being friends with your tree. You have to be friends with your soul parts, and you have to be friends with your shadow. The shadow is a gift like everything else, and the question for all of us is, what's the meaning of the gift? What is this supposed to teach me? What am I supposed to learn on my path in this life from this shadow? Even, you know, it doesn't, I've been doing these practices for a long time, and I still have shadow work, but it's different than Western psychoanalytical shadow work, because it's not really focusing on analyzing what it is and why it happened and who did it to me and yada, yada, yada. It has to do with saying, okay, that same old pattern is here. What am I going to do about it? And I want to let it go. I want to give it to the water and feed it to the water and take in the fluidity of water until I feel my energy is moving in a different way. So there's a basic difference. You know, this work allows you to make changes by working directly with your energy, not
Lovely.
just your mind.
Thank you. And it's almost as if, and when you said we're all one, you know, the sort of add-on to that I really felt after our previous conversation is that when we say we are all one, the we is all inclusive. You know, the we is all inclusive of the universe, the trees, the stones, the rocks. And it reminds me of one time I was visiting a friend in LA, and I was walking in a little alley behind his house, and I see this note that's like been encased in one of those little plastic holders, and it says, "Dear creatures, insects, birds, and spirits that live in this tree, we are going to trim the tree on such and such date, and we want you to know this so that you can find other homes if you need to, or be prepared for our work. Signed, the monks at the Golden Buddhist Monastery." And it was like, it was so delightful for me to find that and to really get that, you know, people were taking action in the world as if everything was alive, and not only alive, but has some form of consciousness as well. And I love I love the simplicity of, you know, part of shamanic work is like identifying what doesn't belong in me and getting rid of it, and then identifying what I've left behind and going and getting it. And, you know, sometimes I can do that by myself, and sometimes I really need a shamanic guide to help me, because I might not even know what's in me that shouldn't be there, and I might not know the parts that were left behind, because I might have left them behind for what at the time seemed like a really good reason.
Absolutely. And that's a great story for the tree.
Yeah. So what about shamanism and community? Like, I know that shamanism is not something that's like an individual practice per se. So I'm curious how you use shamanism and its practices in developing community.
Right. Well, it's a challenge in this culture. But the primary way is through ceremony. When you gather people with a shared intent together, there's power in the group, there's connection in the group, because people hear a little bit of each other's stories, and the energy field of the whole is far stronger than the energy field of my individual or your individual work. So we put all of us together, and it's magnified. And in the kind of ceremonies I do, I really love to do the Andean despacho ceremonies, and they're in which you make a mandala of offerings that to everything, and you either burn it or bury it, and everybody participates. You know, this is California. In the Andes, usually you watch somebody doing it, but here you get to put in your own intent. And different people, you know, some people may come to those and really be in their own world, and some people feel the power of the shared work. But that's one of the ways. And you know, I have a shamanic journey group once a month in Sonoma, and so we're always doing a combination of personal work on things that are up for us and world work to change the trajectory of the world. And so the community comes from shared values, shared intent, and ongoing commitment. I mean, most of the people I know really want the earth to be happy and in good shape, and they're a little befuddled about what to do, because in Western culture, just like we don't have any initiation ceremonies for young people, we don't have any ceremonies to address global issues, let alone, you know, or even community issues. So ceremonies are a huge way of doing that and creating community.
I love that. And I love the idea of having a community. And I think this is true in indigenous cultures, is that there can be a very deep ceremony or ritual that's happening, and the participants can choose the level at which they want to enter into it. So,
Right.
you know, if I just want to like sing a song and dance around the circle and not really think about anything, that's fine. But if I want to just allow myself to go spiritually deeper, I can do that. If I want to study with the shamanic guide and learn how to do it myself, or learn how to do my own ceremonies, then I can go deeper. But I love the fact that everyone is welcome, no matter what their level of interest and their ability to participate. They're still invited into the world, and I really appreciate that. So I'm curious about more about managing energy. And like, for instance, with a group like this, and we don't know actually how many people are with us on the call right now and how many will be listening in later, but I wonder if you'd mentioned a meditation that you'd be willing to do with us about the aquifer that runs under 5 Midwestern states. And there's something really powerful, and I've done some of this work with you before, and there's really incredible power in it. And I'm wondering if you'd be willing to do that with us now.
Absolutely. And I'd like to start with a way of each person connecting their own self, both to the cosmos and the earth. It's pretty simple, so you can close your eyes or not as you want. To start with, take the palms of your hands and just put them so that they're parallel with the earth. And really connect with the earth under your feet, you know, through the floorboards, through the cement, wherever you are. Let yourself feel all the way into the soil where the earthworms are and the creatures are crawling around. And then lift your hands and draw that energy to your heart. And fill yourself with that connection. And again, put your palms flat and feel the connection and draw it into your heart. And then take your right hand and reach it up past your head, all as far as you can reach, in what in the Andes is called the 9th chakra. It's above your energy bubble or your aura, and you're reaching into the cosmos, and it's as if you're catching some of that cosmic energy, and you reach your other hand up and pull that cosmic energy down into your heart. And again, reach up and pull the cosmic energy down into your heart. And then let your hands travel down so that any excess goes back to the earth. And just spend a minute feeling the earth energy travel up your body and out, and the cosmic energy travel down your crown, through your body, and into the earth. Letting yourself be a funnel, letting yourself be the tree of life, because that's what the tree of life is the connection between heaven and earth. And see if you can feel that energy running through your body. And if you can't, if this is new to you, that's okay. It takes a little while sometimes to perceive these things, but it is running, whether you can quite feel it or not. So what I want to invite everyone to do now with that wonderful cosmic and earth energy in your hearts is to close your eyes and imagine that you've traveled all the way to the Dakotas, and that you're actually underground looking at this aquifer that goes under at least 5 states. It's called the Oglala Aquifer. And it's just a huge collection of water with little streams and big rivers and lakes of water, all different levels of the earth. So it's this amazing network, just like the neural networks in your body, just like the veins and arteries in your body. The veins and arteries of the earth are its water connections. And this aquifer goes under all these states. And the reason I wanted to do this today is to connect with all the 200 some tribes who are at Standing Rocks, gathered to be together, to make an energy field of power, and to change the trajectory of not just the pipeline, but our connections and our relationship, because we all want fresh water for ourselves and our plants. We want to preserve what we love. We don't want to give it over to pollution by more corporations. So again, take yourself into that aquifer and just see what you can see about the water moving, and see the little streams and the rivulets and the larger creeks, as if you're in a little bubble underneath the earth watching this water. And open your heart to the water and just connect with it. And tell the water how much you love it, how much you appreciate it. Just give it a little gratitude for feeding us and nurturing us and taking care of us and our plants and our trees and the whole earth. So make that heart connection with the water. And just take it in that you have a connection with earth and cosmos and now the water. Just be for a minute with that beautiful connection. Breathe it in and fill all your cells with it. And then let your little bubble under the earth rise up to where the campground is at Standing Rock, and just notice all these people gathered from, I know there's the Sakara tribe from the Amazon. I know there's tribes from Mongolia and other parts of Asia. People from all over the world coming together to stand together for the rights of nature and the rights of humans to have fresh water, and the rights of the earth to have its flows not disrupted. And let yourself now connect through your heart to all these people, and feel that you're standing with them wherever you are, in your room, in your home, in your office. And feel how wonderful it is to have that connection across space and time, outside space and time, with people who are putting their bodies on the lines. Well, we can't necessarily, but we can support them and we can give them gratitude. So I know this isn't very long, but just take in the good juju and juicy feelings you have from doing this, and we'll come back to sage.
Yum. Wow, I went so deep with that. Um, and it was such a gift to be able to feel like I was there with all those tribes, and it really got me in touch with the water that's on the planet, and the fact that sometimes it's difficult for us in the Western world to really understand the importance and preciousness of water, and how so much of the world doesn't even have fresh water. And there are many places in the world where the major act during the day is walking 12 miles to carry 5 gallons of water back on my head. So
Right.
I'm so grateful for the water, and I don't think from this moment on that I'll take it for granted at all.
Hmm.
So we have time for one more question before we start to share a little bit more about how to keep in contact with you, and the amazing workshop, hint, hint, that you have coming up. But I want to know a little bit more about energy alchemy and how that relates to shamanism. If you could give us a little overview of that, that would be great.
So energy alchemy is a vehicle for connecting with everything alive. It does not require you to be a shaman or you to have a shamanic practice, because we can all work with energy. We all do work with energy all the time. So it's a way of expanding and deepening your connections and exploring and your relationship with trees or stones or mountains. And probably everybody who's listening to these wizard calls already has some of that relationship. Otherwise, you wouldn't be trying to be a wizard and be interested in that. The wizards and shamans of the world have always moved the energy, and there's different vehicles for doing that, but this energy alchemy practices are one way. They don't make you a shaman, but they make you connected. And as you connect, you start to maybe explore and integrate pieces. So for example, I had a meditation practice, I had a hiking practice, I had a swimming practice, I had a gardening practice, but they were all little separate, in little separate boxes. And when I began to learn these energy practices, I saw how to weave them together, and I saw how to weave the dream images I had with my meditation images, with my physical experience. So that's the power for me. It's very fun. I learned Vipassana meditation, and it's a wonderful practice of working with your breath, but after a while it just wasn't going anywhere for me. So I kind of put it aside and went back to it, and I've tried different kinds of meditation. But what I love about this, if you're a nature person, you get to use all your nature experiences in your practice and in your meditation, and deepen your connection. And you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep. Well, you do one of these practices, and then you feel all peaceful and connected, and you go back to sleep. That's not.
And are these simple? Are these practices like simple enough to actually do that with, like, to just wake up, do it, and then be able to go back to sleep for whatever you'd like to do next?
Oh, totally. Once you learn any of these, I mean, this is like any practice, but they're designed to be really simple and accessible. Once you embed it in your body, that okay, when I feel sad, I'm going to blow that sad energy out into the earth and breathe in fresh earth, or I'm going to breathe the sadness into the water and draw in fluidity. Once you know how to do it, you just start doing it. So I do it all day long, not just at night. And I've read a lot of books about practice, and the people at the Institute of Noetic Sciences did a whole book on it. And one thing they and everybody else say is you have to get it so you're used to it. You can't just do it once and expect it to be magic. I mean, it might be magic, but and I'm very practical about this stuff. Everybody's too busy and has too much to do. So I want things that I can do in 5 minutes. I don't want to have to sit for 2 hours. I want things that I can remember in the car, or when I'm taking a hike, or when I'm in the shower, whatever, so that I can integrate them with my life.
Cool. I want that too. And I want to start asking you a little bit about what you've got, because I know I sort of let the cat out of the bag that there was an amazing workshop that was coming up, and it's actually coming up pretty quickly. And I wonder, you know, and it's one of the ways that people can connect with you more is by coming to this workshop. And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about it. And Gifford, if you could put the Energy Alchemy workshop link up in the chat area, that would be super. That'll be coming up in the chat area so that you can actually go and check that out. But tell us a little bit about what we can expect from an Energy Alchemy workshop.
So one thing you can expect is to get all rejuvenated and feel blissed out, because you're for 2 days of the weekend, you're just releasing and filling and connecting yourself with all these living beings. So it's very fun. Another thing you can expect is to take home really potent practices that you've done enough so that you at least have a feel for them, and then you can choose the ones that really work for you. Another piece is that it can really ground you in the possibilities for connecting with the earth and with the stars and with whatever beings really draw you. So you get all these tools to take care of your life on a daily basis, and you get this wonderful feeling of connection. And I can't say enough how that feeling of connection dissipates the sense of isolation and loneliness that most of us struggle with all the time.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's like community on steroids almost, because not only do you get to connect with the people that come there as part of the community of people that are doing this practice, but you get to connect with the greater community of, you know, the natural world and the cosmos that you're teaching people how to integrate into their daily lives.
Right. And I not only live in beautiful Sonoma, but I live in a wonderful oak woodland. So when we meet in my healing space, there are all these amazing blue oaks and live oaks and black oaks that you can go and hang out with. And there's land to walk on, and it's very peaceful, and we look up at the mountains. So just being here, I mean, it's a huge gift to me to live in this place, and I like to share it with other people, because it's a huge gift for everybody to be in a place where you can relax and connect, and nothing bad's going to happen to you.
Yeah. And I just want to say to people, you know, because I had forgotten that it was going to be there on the land where you are, the land that you steward and shepherd. And I want to just say two things about that. The first is that I think the first or second time I was there, you said, come up, we're going to go to the medicine wheel, you know, and we climbed up this beautiful grassy knoll with these beautiful blue flowers that you knew the names of. And then at the top, there was this beautiful circle, you know, with shells and crystals, and you know, it was just gorgeous at the top of this mountain. And I could tell that it had been created with love in relationship to the things that were there, because there's like a tree growing up in part of it, which is just like, okay, well, that tree needs to stay there, and yet it's this beautiful, potent, talismanic, you know, thing. It feels like I'm connected to everything when I'm inside this circle. So I was super grateful to get to see that. And then one time when we were there, you said, shh, come with me, you know, and we sort of tiptoed through the forest a little bit, past some oaks and past, you know, like 10,000 bees, you know, getting nectar for their hives. And all of a sudden, in this clearing was a beautiful wild turkey nest with all these beautiful wild turkey eggs in it, you know, and it was like, wow, how amazing that this level of beauty and nature is just like present on the land all the time. And I'm sure that it's just every day is like that. There's something new to discover every day on that land. And you can tell that I'm just like a little kid about this, because it was feeding something really deep in me to be witness to this loving acceptance of the world. And I can just imagine what it would be like if you heaped a bunch of shamanic practices on top of that, and shamanic healing on top of that, you know, I would just be over the moon. So
well,
I believe that I'm going to come to your workshop.
Cool. Well, I just want to add to that. A lot of people talk now about your wild self, and being in a place that is wild is a way of opening, wild and safe at the same time, is a way of opening yourself that you don't often get the opportunity to do in this urbanized, crazy culture. And to be able to put your cell phone away, your worries away, and just be present with everything is a wonderful gift for all of us. And as a special gift for your listeners, Sage, I want to offer people a special equinox discount, so that if you sign up for this workshop, it's a different link than the main one. If you sign up for this workshop by September 30th, you get this big discount, and then you get to be in nature too. So,
right. So tell us what so Gifford, if you could put the discount link up as well. That one's too complicated to say out loud, but if you want to go to the regular link and pay the full price, you can do that at megbeeler.com/energy-alchemy-workshop. And Gifford's just put up the special discount of, it says $30, but I have $40. Yeah. Is it 30 or 40?
It's $30.
$30. Okay, sorry. There's a misprint on my sheet here. I so apologize. So what is the full price of the workshop, and and it's 2 days?
It's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. The full price is $220 for both days. Then you bring your lunch and we eat together. You can wander around and have a little break, and then we do play all together.
Yeah, so for under $200, you can spend 2 days with this amazing shaman. I am doing it. So there. And I would suggest that you do too. Now, Meg, for people who aren't ready to come to a workshop with you, is there something else that you have, some way that they can just have a little taste of you, an additional taste of you?
So on my blog page, I have a free The Elements meditation that we did a brief version of, and you can, if you sign up, you can access that and play with it yourself. Just explore what it's like to work with those 4 elements and see how you like it. And I think, yeah, he just put that up. And also on my website, you know, the book that I just published has all these practices. Most of us have a hard time reading books and learning practices. I myself will read books with practices, and I skip over the practices and keep reading the words. So I'm not a very good model. But part of my intent with this book was to give people all these opportunities, ways of connecting, that you can choose this or that or whatever appeals to you, to deepen your relationship, and do it in your own backyard. Do it on your own time. So that's another, you know, on the website someplace you can download a free chapter, you can order the book, and so on. But I really encourage people to play with this stuff. I'd love to see you at the workshop, and if it's not the right time, I'd love to see you just deepening your relationship with the earth and the cosmos, because it's so rewarding, and it'll make you feel so much better in your life.
Yes, and I'm actually now, I'm presenting to everyone, holding up your book, Meg Beeler's book. It's totally amazing. It's got the practices in it, and if you're the kind of person that reads and then skips over the practices, come to the workshop, because you'll get the practices to do in the workshop. I'm really, really adamant that you experience more of Meg Beeler, because she is just, you can tell that she is really there for you and your personal spiritual growth. I really hope that you get that from Meg with her time with us, and that she's here to deliver the, I don't know, I was going to say value of shamanism, but you know, the shamanic journey, the shamanic practice, shamanic healing is beyond anything that you can put a physical value on. It's like, it is juice for the soul. So I just want to say thank you, Meg Beeler, for taking the time to be with us today. I so appreciate it, and you've delivered some amazing experiences to us, places where I didn't expect to go as deep as I did, but I really did, and I so appreciate you being with us. Thank you again 1,000 times for being with us.
Thank you, Sage. It was great fun. I love doing this work, and I love sharing it with people. So, and you and I always have a good time together. So I am deeply grateful to you too to get to. And I did forget one thing. If you come to the workshop, you get your own copy of the book to take home. Oh yeah, well there you go. Get the book at the workshop. Okay, I'll see you there. This concludes another episode of Free Wizard School. Have a blessed day. Be well. Bye-bye. Yes.